how would one fail at the Brad Clark brand of teaching?
Mm.
And remember, fail is like, what are the follies along the way? What are the, what are the trials and tribulations in teaching in your style?
Teaching the Brad style.
Yeah.
Trademark. Yeah.
Fail for you.
I think to me, I don't know how other people, I know how I don't like teaching to be done when I'm observing it, which doesn't mean that I always get it right, but I'm aware of when it connects to me, and I see someone teaching in a way that is meeting the person where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is very difficult when it's more than one person at a time, but teaching anything from an ego perspective is I'm showing you what I know. And then teaching from the way that I seem to continue to gravitate towards is I want to share what I know, and I hope you know something that I don't, and I get it back equally. So it's an exchange, not of both directions, learner and teacher, not just feeding my ego that I know something and I'm showing it off.
Mm-hmm.
And not all teaching comes across that way, but I think there's a lot of times where either through comfort or through expectation of society or self, the label of teacher creates this perception that I'm supposed to know something. And I have to communicate that and show that other person something. And then the value is if they get it and they do it, then I feel good. Yes, I'm a good teacher. And that's not how I end up approaching it. And for years of teaching people and mentoring or working with people or just trying to get better myself, I don't ever think of it as, let me show you what I know. Look at me. It's, I hope that I find out more by sharing what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And that means for someone who's new to whatever it is being learned, animation, a new parent,
yeah,
whatever it is, it's more about an exchange of ideas and mutual respect, and also walking together towards getting better at something. And if I have some information, I can impart it. And through a new beginner, their questions or their acknowledgement of understanding or their seeing them understand what you were explaining fuels me back. It says, hey, I didn't think of that question, or they asked it in a way that I hadn't heard before, and I had to think about how to answer their question and not just re-say the thing I know.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, there was a part of this that's a one-on-one relationship.
Yes.
Because you said to fail at it, you would try to teach maybe 10 people.
10 people that, and not pay attention to where they are.
Yeah, there's just this idea of,
here's what I am. Look at me. Here's what I'm showing you. And then that's as far as the exchange goes.
Because it's difficult to meet multiple people where they are.
Yes.
But
it's possible.
Yeah.
And it requires you to be highly aware of how they're receiving your message.
Yeah. I think of martial arts, when you have a room full of folks all learning.
Yes.
And it would take a high degree of awareness and also like languaging to give everybody, or maybe if you were teaching yoga or something,
right?
You're like, how do I meet everybody here? And that's intimate.
Yes. And for me, we mentioned, my quote unquote day job has been for a long time to work with artists and animators. And I teach through online communication, whether it's text or video, and people are all over the world, and their frame of reference, their understanding of things is colored by where they are in their region, how they grew up, what TV shows they watched, all of the information. There is a foundational language that everyone has to kind of get on board with, right? Mm-hmm. Martial arts, animation, whatever. There has to be a baseline vocabulary for what it is you're trying to learn.
Right.
But beyond having shared language, you have to start considering who it is you're working with and what they're able to understand, why they may not be understanding something you're teaching, and also how to, in real time, adjust and adapt so that they do understand, that you leave them with actual knowledge and the exchange of figuring out how to communicate to them.
Yeah.
So that they can continue forward with what they're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's to be better at kicking or to be creative, just not be afraid of making something, including mistakes. But,
yeah.
All of this is about being creative or creating something in yourself.
Martial arts is creativity.
All of it is creating movement. It's creating, strength. It's creating confidence. It's creating everything that is art is saying, here, I am sharing something and exposing myself to the world.
I like the word expression.
Yeah.
Like I could see a martial art expression. I could see a animation expression. Right. I could see
what do I have to show?
An inner expression through the action or through the experience. Yeah. The couple things that I heard as an answer to number one would be like to not be aware of everybody and where they are.
Yes.
To have some kind of unidirectional broadcast of the lesson without having some kind of.
Yeah.
And the other one was ego teaching, which is kind of teaching because I'm better than folks.
Yes.
And not having a share of ideas or an exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like the failures, or people might.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't always get, I fail at those too.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is, you feel good because it does. You go, oh, look, I do know something. And that's different than you can be proud of what you know and the work that you've done to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that so can everyone else, including the people that you're working to teach something to. You can't assume that they don't know other things.
Yeah.
Like the thing that they know that you don't could easily amplify the thing you're trying to teach.
Right.
And you don't even know it until you have the exchange.
Right.
Then they answer a question, or they ask us a question, or they explain something in the way that they understand it, and you suddenly see from a different view.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way I like to describe it lately for myself and just trying to talk about it to other people I'm working with is that it's a gem starts out as just the raw material, and you continue to cut facets in it and polish it. And the more facets, the more light comes in, the more you can see the shape, and the more facets, the more it's still the same thing that started out as, but it now lets more light in, and you have more views into what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah. I thought of a harvester of perspective or this idea of a map maker,
Mm-hmm.
like the map not being the territory. And
right.
I get your map and I get my map, and I can get the more maps I have, the more I understand what this human experience is and how to touch people, how to connect.